Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. Now that the miserable existence of the weekend is over, we're moving into a new week, which means we're back to the same old boring existential grind. This week we're going to be looking at spookier, scarier Halloween songs. How pretentious. Alright, well, I guess let's get into this. The first track we're listening to is The Satanist by Behemoth. I wonder if they're even Satanists for real. Posers. Let's get into this. Yeah, really interesting, like brightness in the guitar line versus the heaviness in the vocals. I'm picking out some syllables and some words, which is really cool. It's really interesting to hear such harsh vocals on top of kind of radio rock. Interesting production there. The drums are so crisp and clean though. I think that's like really the standout to me so far. What a guitar song. Yeah, very cool evolution on this song, and it all feels very natural. Yeah, yeah, very cool. Um, so just to get this out of the way, if you're new to the channel and you're like, hey, wasn't that guy like super doom into, emo-ish at the beginning or gothy or whatever? Yes, that is more of a persona. I can't do reactions and analysis in that character though, so it does revert back to typical Bryan once the song starts. Um, so yeah, let's dig into some of this because there is some really interesting things going on in here that I was completely not expecting. Um, the beginning of the song is very calm when you listen to just the instrumentation. There's a couple of really interesting drum runs, drum fills, but for the most part, we have a little bit of rhythmic ideas in the bass kick, but the snare and the hi-hat are really just laying down more of a metronome idea. The guitar is very sparse, kind of not bright, but not light. I think light would be a good phrase for it. It's light in the sense of weight. And it creates this sort of like radio rock verse idea where the chorus is going to be the big explosive section, and this is the quieter part that comes before it that provides contrast so that the chorus has that punch and that energy that listeners expect. So we have we have this kind of radio rock style verse idea going on with these really heavy growls being sung over them, and it is an interesting mishmash to my ears, at least. It works well in the fact I didn't think it was out of place while listening to it. However, thinking back on that combination, I don't think I've heard that before. We've heard harsh growls over folk stuff, and I'm slowly getting acclimated to that sound. It's beginning to get less and less weird, disjointed, the more that we listen to some of this folky black metal stuff. But this, I don't think I've ever heard. The music at the end of the song is more of what I'm expecting for those growls. The chorus does kick in a little harder, but it's still nothing that I think I've really heard with growls before. It's still sort of a radio rock style thing going on. We have more chordal stuff going on to provide a wider sound. It has more of that punch, sort of like how radio rock works. You go between the subtle to the explosive, the loud. You get this nice contrast between the two. And then you usually have a really nice hook in the verse. And maybe the vocals here are kind of hookish, but for some people, but not for me because it's growls. However, I will say that there are quite a few words and sentences, or at least phrases, that I heard in the growls. Just really strong enunciation, I think. Some of it could be in the delivery of the words, some of it could be in the production of the vocals, but yeah, I was actually very surprised to hear words and phrases. I don't think I got a full sentence yet. But it was very cool to actually be able to pick out stuff on a first time listen without knowing the words prior and actually being able to hear that stuff. So yeah, my ears for growls are developing. It's weird. It's kind of fantastic. Um, and then we hit the second half of the song, which I thought was going to be a bridge, and then we'd come back to the chorus, given that a lot of the song so far has felt kind of radio rockish. And we didn't. We went into what I consider the main style of music I would associate with this growling. Um, we have a ton of movement, a ton of energy, a lot of attacks, a lot of oppression, a lot of weight coming down. The drums kind of went to some really fast, constant, it was either constant or alternating snare and bass ideas. Very death metal, I think. The guitars switched to a really abrasive tone. I think both of the solo guitar tones were interesting on their own. They adopted a bit of edge, some sharpness to them that wasn't present in the previous guitar tone that we saw for the verse and chorus idea. And this edge helped it really cut through the drumming, which I think is highly important given how much space the drumming was taking at the time. Um, but of course, the range helps as well. They kicked it up an octave or so to get into the solo range. And I really enjoyed the solos, both of them. They had a nice flow to them. It wasn't just pure shred all the time. They had moments of rest, moments of holding out a note, really allowing the solo to breathe and experience a little bit of downtime between bursts of energy. I mean, just all in all, the song has a phenomenal relationship and understanding of contrast. I think it does a fantastic job of ensuring that we have all of these differing ideas that help support each other and create a song that is interesting to listen to from front to end, front to back. And I do think this song is interesting to listen to, um, especially given the progression of it. I think the transition from the verse to the chorus works well, and I think the transition from the chorus to the death metal outro is really well done. It was a bit of a sharp turn. We went from chords and metronome drumming to, constant attacks in the solo. I think we went straight into the solo. I might be wrong though. I think there was a little bit of a interlude there before we hit the solo. But the transition into it was very well done, and it felt very natural to move from the kind of simple and slower instrumentation into that death metal speed stuff at the end. It worked very well, and again, it felt very natural. And I wonder how much of that is attributed to the growling. Just having that there makes the shift into what I perceive as a listener the natural area for the growling to be in. It makes that more palatable. I don't know if that ending would have fit as well if we didn't have that bit of, not necessarily foreshadowing, but sort of meeting in that middle ground. The vocals allow this song to rest both between something more traditional, more mainstream, and something more aggressive. So the music itself can dance back and forth between the two without really feeling out of place. Um, I do want to touch on the drums, though. I think up until the ending, I mean, it's still impressive. Highly technical metal drumming, and not even just technical like we're talking about some proggy stuff. I'm just talking about raw chops. The speed and precision and endurance required to play stuff like what is there at the end, stuff that death metal, especially technical death metal, tends to work within. It is jaw dropping just to think about somebody performing this, not just for the 5 minutes of a song, but maybe for the 30 to 40 minutes of a live set. Just the raw endurance, muscular endurance to do that is. Uh, it's mind blowing. So that in and of itself, but I think that the drums also brought a little bit of life to the first half of the song that was desperately needed. The vocals were rather flat, and what I mean by that is there just wasn't a lot of change to them. The vocalist sort of picked a note and maybe, moved around a little bit on it, but for the most part, the vocals were fairly monotonous. The guitar was muted in a way. It was not really utilized um, as much more than atmosphere. So it was really up to the drums to provide any sort of dynamic element to the song, and I think they did that pretty well. The metronome drumming was kind of blended in with this idea of monotony and just kind of existing to fill a role. But the bass kick rhythm that worked with the bass guitar did a good job of spicing up a little bit of the rhythmic aspect, and then the drum fills did a lot of work at providing a lot of energy to the song that I felt was missing in the other aspects. So to me, the drummer's really pulling double duty on this song. and keeping that first half interesting enough to get to the second half, which I think is where the musical meat is. Man, musical meat and genty pop. I think I just figured out metal Thanksgiving. Oh man. All right, so yeah, I think those are my thoughts on it. This is a bit of a sparse one, but I mean that first half of the song is pretty. I don't want to be demeaning on it, but it's simple, and the ending is only interesting in the fact that it is a 180 spin on what we had previously, where we had something a little bit more subdued. We've now gone full metal, tons of attacks, and then the guitar solos. I am interested about how this got picked for Halloween week, Spooky week. I suppose the music video had a little bit of spookiness to it. But outside of the last like 20 seconds, which I suppose explains something about the protagonist's plight, she seemed distressed, but I don't know why, unless the distress is specifically because these people around the pot are supernaturally harassing her, supernaturally, inflicting pain upon her. I'm not really sure what poking her low poly doppelganger in the pot was supposed to resemble. And I'm not sure who the Satanist is. Is it the people around the pot? Because that would be the Satanists. The singular makes me think it's the main character, the protagonist, but she did not seem to be doing anything Satan-y. She seemed to be on the receiving end. So, yeah, it's an interesting choice. I think this song might have just been picked because it's Behemoth. The song is called The Satanist, kind of have some spooky vibes to it. But yeah, the music wasn't overly spooky, I don't think. And the music video just kind of edged into that territory. So I don't know. Maybe you guys can hit me up. Let me know what you think this might be spooky about this song. All right. That's going to wrap this one up. This is where you guys come in, though. Aside from that, you can also leave me comments about the song, whether you enjoyed it or not, anything that might have stuck out to you, maybe something that I glossed over or missed that you thought was really important to the song, really important to the analysis. Hit me up with those comments. Above the comment section is a description box, and there's a link for Linktree. It'll take you to a menu. And in the menu, there's a bunch of buttons and links that you can click to get to things. All right, go to Linktree. There's links in there. All right, check them out. Discord, Patreon, Twitter, they're all in there. Check it out. Above that, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. I'll be back in about 10, 11 minutes with our next video. We're not doing special selection this week. I apologize greatly to the person who is next. They were excited about seeing their selection on Friday, and I had to inform them that that was going to be a special selection, and then also had to inform them that this week we are doing all Halloween stuff for both daily slots. So yeah, I kind of feel bad about that. There's just going to be pushed to next Monday, but we're going to be doing another Halloween one. If you've been paying attention to the channel, especially if you've been, community posts enabled for your subscriptions, you'll have seen that I posted a community post and said, hey, what kind of Halloween song should I be checking out? That's what we're going to be looking at. The second video of each day is going to be from YouTube comments, looking for more spooky or Halloween related videos. Also, be sure to turn on community posts because I do things like that. I also post cool music that I know of, or that I have found that maybe I don't have an opportunity to react to, or I can't fit it into the recording week, but I still want to share it. Stuff like that. I know this week I'm going to be sharing spooky Halloween songs that I enjoy. Each day I'll be posting one as well. All right, until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical, of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening whenever you choose to watch my videos.